Well, after a long, stressful hiatus, you've all inspired me to lift my nose off the grindstone and share some of the learning that adversity has foisted on us as educators over the last 6 months. Thank you for all your kind words of encouragement since when I started posting these tutorials in March, when this seemed like a 2019-2020 school year problem. For those of you that see this as your first tutorial, be aware that there were several introductory tutorials before this one, and my season one, as it were. They went over the basics of home pages and toolbars and discussions and assignments. I also have the equivalent of student versions for teachers that can post on your website so that your students can see how to work these features. My first season 2 topic, which I wanted to talk about, synchronous instruction and live virtual classrooms. That was something that was not asked of us so much in March, but it's very much a part of our practice now. And I know most people defaulted to Google Meet or MS Teams as systems that they were intimately familiar with, but I dove in and learned how to use D2L's virtual ClassroomQL, which has some interesting integration directly with Brightspace, so I thought I would share what I had learned. Again, I'm keeping to the absolute basics, but what you need to start, and maybe a bit about why I use it in practice. You can learn more as you go, and you can keep going with what's working for you, and then come back and consider trying this in the next quadmester, or whenever whenever it would make sense to try something new. Virtual Classroom QL is fully integrated widget within Brightspace, meaning that, like I have, you can add it directly to your home page or toolbar. It also has a significant advantage in that the students log in directly, meaning that they log in according to their identity in Brightspace. And this means this keeps everything simple by Brightspace standards, and it eliminates the Zoom bombing phenomenon that many of my colleagues have experienced when anonymous students or other bad actors join your meetings using posted unsecured links. The toolbar lets you see not just scheduled live sessions or active meetings, but also potentially recorded meetings that students can see as well. This means that when absent students can just go back and see what they missed as a fully recorded video, including the chat log and the shared session. Just to show you an example of that, I can click preview here, and this would just bring up an example of a previous class that I have recorded. And you can see that it includes not just the video of me teaching, but also the whiteboard and the chat, which I'll get into a little bit later. You can also choose not to record your sessions, in which case they won't appear here. I get that. Not everybody wants to do that. But if you do, then you have access to all the videos through here, and you can even download them. So if you wanted to, for whatever reason, use them in next year or something like that, although I would imagine probably you just want to keep the documentation. Here's where you want to click if you want to get into a live class. And if you want to schedule a new live class from here, you would normally click this plus button down here at the bottom. I rarely do it this way because I prefer to do it directly through the announcements though. So we're going to take a quick step back and go back to the main page, and I'm going to show you how to add a live class directly either through announcements or through content. All right. So when you throw up a new announcement like this, you generally want to post a new meeting, and the easiest way is right here using the little chain button that is in the announcement feed. That's the links section, and then you scroll all the way down here to this little button here that you've probably ignored all this time because Google Meet and MS Teams are above it. But this is called Virtual Classroom QL, and if you click on it, it brings up all of the potential class meetings that you could link to and post. Now, chances are, if you're doing it for the first time, you haven't created one yet, which means that the easiest way is to just hit this schedule meeting button here, and it'll bring up a number of options. Now, you're going to need to put a title. I normally put on like a class number, usually a date, and some sort of descriptor so that the kids know what the assignment is in case it's posted later. And I usually pre-schedule for my afternoon class, because this is usually for the online courses. So you can indicate a date, which you can either choose a previous one or you can pick one. And I generally indicate that my class is happening at a specific time. There's a max duration, but it's never cut me off, so I don't generally worry about that. I generally choose to start recording automatically and to publish the recorded meeting. But again, both of those are options. You don't have to do it if you prefer to keep these things as transitory, that you're either online or you're not. Also, it generally invites the entire class, usually through an email. You can click that off, which I will, because I don't want my class to get this thing, and then you'll click Save. Now, I generally like to post my classes at least a few hours in advance so that the kids see that it's there and know to come back for the specific time in question. You can just post one that is happening right now, though, in which case you can just launch it. And that will bring, just before the meeting, you'll generally be on the launch page here. Now, when you come onto this page, you will has a little bit of useful information that you can go over about, and the kids will see this as well. If it's possible to launch the meeting right now, the button at the bottom will be blue. If you scheduled it for a specific time, it will be gray, and you'll have to wait till that exact moment when the button turns blue before you can go into the site. Now, I generally like to turn on record and publish meetings, and when I come in here, it asks me to allow my microphone here, and if I do, then it gives me a little echo test here where where it tests to make sure that my mic is working. So as you can see, it's kind of repeating. So that means that my mic's on. That tells me I'm the only one here because this is an example class. But so that brings you to this page. And once you're in here, you can theoretically turn on your camera. I'm going to do that right now. It requires that you give it alerts. Not everybody wants to use their camera in all of this. Like, if you don't, then what they're seeing is this whiteboard here down at the bottom. But you can't. I tend to prefer to have them seeing my face so that they know what's going on. And but otherwise, you have access to this virtual whiteboard / slide projector that is the means by which you can communicate with the students in addition to your voice and your face. So if you just want to use the whiteboard, you can. The tools are over here. You can include things like text, where you can type stuff in, or you can include lines, or you can outright free draw using your mouse. And this is just basically a whiteboard. You can use it. You can undo. You can clear the whole thing. And you can even turn, using this button over here, your multi-user whiteboard on, and that means that it's not just me, but potentially all of the students that are also able to manipulate the whiteboard, and that's useful for collaboration and that sort of thing. If you, like me, tend to have pre-prepared visuals that you want to share on your screen, you can use the presentation button here and theoretically upload pre-existing files. I'm just going to browse my way to an image that I can share here. But you can bring up an image like this, and then theoretically you can manipulate it or whatnot. I imagine this would be useful if you wanted to do things like math problems so that you can have students interact with it as well. All right, you can also share your screen here. Like if you click on here, you can either share your entire screen or the application window or a Chrome tab. You just have to click and specifically select it and click share. So this is what it is. You can see the repeating because I'm sharing my entire screen right now. And that way you can jump over to other things theoretically using your menu. And that allows you to share different things from different files. But be careful what you've opened and what you have what you have on your screen if you're going to be fully screen sharing. So the main, you can see who is online here using the participants button. Obviously, I'm the only one here right now. But the main tool for interaction is the public chat here, which is also being recorded for future posterity. I turn on my camera, but I rarely require them to do it. I find that I believe in that for equity purposes. But consequently, I generally have the class interacting with me via the public chat at the side here. And I only occasionally ask them to turn on their mic to answer a question or whatnot. And I generally do attendance not by checking the participants feed, but rather by the public chat. I usually just occasionally say, like, ask them all to answer a question separately, or I just sometimes just say, hey, everybody who's still here, just post in the chat so I know you're here. And as long as you're upfront about it, they just will keep you aware of whether they're listening or not. And I just do occasional check-ins that way so that I know if someone has just logged in and then walked away to go and make coffee or something. Up here at the top, there is the record button, and you can start recording anytime after the class has started if you want to just control that. Or alternately, you can have it recording from the beginning and you can stop it recording at any time. If you want to end the class, you can go up to the 3 dots here at the top, at which point there are a number of other features I haven't talked about, but you have end meeting and leave. I strongly encourage you to use end meeting because if you leave, the kids can still be in there and they can be talking about stuff unmonitored, but potentially recorded. So you may want to make sure that you always end the meeting when you leave. So some of you may think that this is great. Some of you may think that what you are doing is a lot better. I'm not here to evangelize. I just want to make you aware of why I use it and how some of these things might be useful for the purpose of whether you see this as potentially useful compared to MS Teams or Google Meet or any of the other things. This is what's working for me.
Now, some of you may see this and think that what you're doing is better. I'm not familiar with how well Google Meet or MS Teams is working or any of the other systems that integrate with Brightspace because I haven't used them really. But this shows you the basics of how virtual ClassroomQL is working for me. Thank you to all the viewers that may have been thanking me since March. I have appreciated your support and you have encouraged me to get back into this despite how overwhelming this quadmester stuff has been for all of us. I'm glad I have helped to make it slightly less so for some of you. I'm not promising any kind of regular schedule as I'm working around my actual teaching, but if you subscribe, I am planning for a season 2 to include tutorials on virtual classroom today, an episode on gradebook, maybe an episode on intelligent agents to encourage students, and maybe an episode on creating custom widgets for your class site. If any of my fans want to request other possible topics, post them in the comments below. Maybe I know something about them, maybe I don't. Take care of yourselves. We're all students this year as well as teachers, and I'll do what I can to help. Thank you again, and best of luck.